Hello, and welcome. Today, I'm going to tell you a very special story. A story about a pilot named Sarah. Sarah is a young pilot who lives in Colorado. She flies small planes over the beautiful Rocky Mountains. This story is about mystery, courage, and an impossible discovery. It's a story that will make you wonder what else is hiding in our sky. This story was created for English learners like you. I will speak slowly and clearly. Every word is chosen to be simple and easy to understand. You can just listen and enjoy Sarah's adventure. Or you can practice shadowing, repeating the words along with me. Remember, you can pause anytime you need. You can repeat any part as many times as you want. This is your practice, your journey with Sarah. So get comfortable. Imagine the vast blue sky, and let's begin. Are you ready to discover the pilot's secret? Then let's start our adventure. The Pilot's Secret. Chapter 1. The First Flight. My name is Sarah Chen. I'm 25 years old. And I'm a pilot. Not a big commercial airline pilot. Not yet, anyway. I fly small planes. Single-engine planes. The kind that can only hold 2 or 3 people. I work for a small aviation company in Colorado. We do scenic flights over the Rocky Mountains. Tourists pay us to see the mountains from above. It's a beautiful job. Every day I see incredible views. Snow-capped mountains. Deep green forests. Crystal clear lakes. Eagles flying beside my plane. It never gets old. I've been flying for 3 years now. I got my pilot's license when I was 22. It was my dream since I was a little girl. My father was a pilot too. He flew cargo planes around the world. He died when I was 15. His plane went down over the ocean. They never found out exactly what happened. Mechanical failure, they said. But they never found the plane. They never found my father. That's why I became a pilot. To feel close to him. To understand the sky the way he did. To finish what he started. Maybe that sounds strange. But flying makes me feel like he's still with me. Like he's watching over me from somewhere up there. This story begins on a Tuesday morning. October 15th. It was a clear, beautiful day. Perfect flying weather. I arrived at the small airport at 7 in the morning. The sun was just coming up. The air was crisp and cold. I could see my breath. My plane was waiting on the runway. A Cessna 172, white with blue stripes. Registration number N427 Charlie Papa. I always called her Charlie. I walked around Charlie doing my pre-flight check, checking the wings, checking the tail, checking the propeller, checking the fuel. Everything looked perfect. "Morning, Sarah." I turned around. It was Tom, my boss. He's a big man with a gray beard. He's been running this aviation company for 30 years. "Morning, Tom," I said. "Beautiful day for flying." "Sure is," he agreed. "I've got something special for you today." "Oh yeah?" I asked. "What's that?" He handed me a clipboard. "High-altitude atmospheric study," he said. "What?" I asked, confused. "Some scientists need data from high altitudes," he explained. "They want measurements from 30,000 feet. I frowned. "Tom, Charlie can't go that high," I said. "Her service ceiling is only 14,000 feet. I know, Tom said. "That's why they're lending us special equipment." He pointed to a truck parked nearby. 2 people in white lab coats were unloading equipment. "They'll install an oxygen system," Tom said. "And some kind of turbocharger for the engine. Temporary modifications. Just for today." I felt uneasy. "Is this safe?" I asked. "Absolutely," Tom assured me. "These folks are professionals, NASA scientists. They do this kind of thing all the time. NASA scientists." That made me feel a bit better. "Okay," I said slowly. "What exactly do they need me to do?" Tom looked at the clipboard. "Fly up to 30,000 feet, he said. "Take air samples at different altitudes. Record temperature and pressure readings. Take photographs of cloud formations. That's it. Should take about 4 hours total. 4 hours." That was longer than my usual flights. But it sounded interesting. "And they're paying triple our usual rate," Tom added with a smile. "Triple rate." That was very good money. "All right," I said. "I'm in." The scientists, a man and a woman, worked on Charlie for 2 hours. They installed a sophisticated oxygen system. They attached strange sensors all over the wings. They mounted cameras on the exterior. They installed a turbocharger system I didn't fully understand. The woman scientist, Dr. Lisa Martinez, explained everything to me. She was very thorough, very professional. "You'll feel the engine perform differently," she said. "It will be more powerful, but everything is completely safe. We've done this modification 100 times. Just follow the flight plan exactly." She handed me a detailed map. It showed a specific route, straight north from the airport, up to 30,000 feet. then a slow circle over a specific area, then back down. "And why this specific area?" I asked, looking at the map. Dr. Martinez hesitated for just a second. "Cloud formations," she said. "And there are unusual atmospheric conditions in that region. We need data from there specifically." Something in her voice seemed off, like she wasn't telling me everything. But I didn't push. Scientists always have their reasons. At exactly 10 o'clock, I climbed into Charlie. I put on the oxygen mask. I started the engine. It sounded different. More powerful, like Dr. Martinez said. I did my final checks. Everything was green. November 427, Charlie Papa requesting permission for takeoff, I said into the radio. "Charlie Papa, you are cleared for takeoff," the tower responded. "Have a safe flight." I pushed the throttle forward. Charlie rolled down the runway. Faster than usual. Much faster. The modifications were working. At 60 knots, I pulled back on the yoke. Charlie lifted into the air smoothly. We were airborne, climbing steadily. The airport got smaller below me. The mountains spread out around me. Beautiful as always. I followed the flight plan exactly. Heading north. Climbing higher and higher. 5,000 feet. 10,000 feet. 15,000 feet. The air was getting thinner. I turned on the oxygen system. Pure oxygen flowed through my mask. 20,000 feet. The sky was getting darker blue. I could see the curvature of the earth. 25,000 feet. I had never been this high in a small plane. It was incredible. The world looked so different from up here. So small. So peaceful. 28,000 feet. Almost there. I checked my instruments. Everything was normal. Engine temperature, normal. Fuel, plenty. Oxygen, flowing perfectly. 29,000 feet. I reached the designated area on the map. I leveled off. 30,000 feet. I had made it. I was higher than I had ever been. Higher than Charlie was ever meant to go. I started my circle, just as instructed. Taking air samples. Recording data. Taking photographs. Everything was going perfectly. Too perfectly. And that's when I saw it. Something that shouldn't be there. Something impossible. Floating in the sky ahead of me. My blood ran cold. My hands started shaking. Because what I was seeing couldn't be real. It couldn't exist. But there it was, right in front of me. What do you think Sarah saw? Something dangerous. Something mysterious. Something from another world. Leave your guess in the comments below. And don't forget, you can pause and replay this chapter anytime. Practice makes perfect. Let's continue to find out what Sarah discovered. Chapter 2. The Impossible Thing. I blinked hard. Maybe I was seeing things. Maybe the high altitude was affecting my brain. Oxygen deprivation can cause hallucinations. Maybe that's all this was. But no, it was still there, floating about 1,000 feet ahead of me, at the same altitude, 30,000 feet. It looked like a jellyfish, but enormous, the size of a house, maybe bigger. Its body was translucent, almost invisible against the blue sky. But I could see it when the sunlight hit it just right. It had long tentacles hanging down. They moved slowly, gracefully, like it was swimming through water. But this wasn't water. This was thin air. 30,000 feet up. Nothing should be alive up here. Nothing could be alive up here. I rubbed my eyes again. It was still there. My heart was pounding. My hands were sweating inside my gloves. I keyed my radio with shaking fingers. "Base, this is Charlie Papa," I said. My voice was trembling. "And go ahead, Charlie Papa," Tom's voice came back. Calm and normal. "Tom, I'm seeing something very strange up here," I said. Silence for a moment. "What kind of strange?" Tom asked. How could I even describe this? There's something alive up here," I said. "There's something floating. Like a jellyfish, but huge." More silence. "Sarah, check your oxygen levels," Tom said seriously. "You might be experiencing hypoxia. Hypoxia. Oxygen deprivation." That's what I thought too. I checked my oxygen gauge. It was perfect. Full flow. "Oxygen is fine," I reported. "I'm reading normal on all systems." "But Tom, I'm telling you, there's something up here." "Can you take a photograph?" Tom asked. "Of course." The cameras. Dr. Martinez had installed cameras all over the plane. "The external cameras should be recording everything," I said. "Good," Tom said. "Just stay calm. Complete your mission. Take your samples. Then come back down. We'll review the footage when you land." That made sense. That was the professional thing to do. But every instinct in my body was screaming at me to turn around. to get away from this thing. I forced myself to breathe slowly. In and out. In and out. I was a pilot. I was trained for unusual situations. Stay calm. Follow procedure. Complete the mission. I continued my slow circle, taking air samples, recording data, but I couldn't take my eyes off the creature. Because that's what it was. A creature. A living thing. It wasn't moving toward me. It just floated there, drifting slowly in the high-altitude winds, its tentacles swaying gently. As I got closer, still maintaining a safe distance, I could see more details. Its body pulsed slowly, like it was breathing, or like a heartbeat. Through its translucent skin, I could see organes, structures inside it, things that glowed faintly. Bioluminescence, maybe. The tentacles were incredibly long, maybe 100 feet long. They had small lights along them, tiny points of light that flickered, like stars. It was beautiful. Terrifying, but beautiful. I had completed half of my circle when I noticed something else. There was more than one. Off in the distance, farther north, I could see two more shapes, floating at different altitudes. One higher, one lower. Oh my God. There were more of them. How many? Were they all over the sky up here? Had they always been here? Had other pilots seen them? Why didn't anyone know about this? So many questions flooded my mind. I wanted answers. I needed answers. Without thinking, I deviated from my flight plan. I turned toward the other creatures. I had to see them closer. I had to know more. Charlie Papa, you're off course. Tom's voice crackled in my headset. I had forgotten the GPS was tracking me. I know, I said. Tom, there are more of them. Sarah, stick to the flight plan, Tom said firmly. Don't deviate. But that's an order, Tom interrupted. His voice was harder now. Almost angry. That was strange. Tom was never angry. Why was he so insistent? Unless he already knew. A cold realization washed over me. The scientists, the specific flight path, the specific altitude, the specific location. They knew these things were here. This wasn't a random atmospheric study. This was a targeted mission. They wanted me to see these creatures. Or at least, they wanted data on them. Tom, I said slowly. You knew, didn't you? You knew something was up here. Silence. Long silence. Then Tom's voice. Quieter. Sarah, just complete the mission. We'll talk when you land. I promise I'll explain everything. But right now, you need to focus on flying. He was right about that. I was 30,000 feet up. In a modified plane. In unknown conditions. With giant creatures floating around me. This was not the time to lose focus. Fine, I said. But you're definitely explaining when I land. I will, Tom promised. I turned Charlie back toward the original flight path. I completed my circle. All the while, the creature just floated there. It didn't approach me. It didn't flee from me. It just existed, peacefully drifting in the thin air. As I prepared to descend, I took one last look at it. And I could swear, absolutely swear, that one of its internal lights pulsed brighter. Just for a moment. Like it was acknowledging me. No, that was crazy. It was just a creature. It wasn't intelligent. Was it? I shook my head. I was letting my imagination run wild. Time to go home. I pushed the yoke forward. Charlie's nose dipped down. I began my descent. As I dropped below 25,000 feet, I looked back. The creature was gone. Or maybe just invisible again. Hidden in the blue sky. Waiting. For what, I didn't know. But I had a feeling, a strong feeling, that this was just the beginning. That today had changed everything. I just didn't know how much yet. Would you have kept flying toward the creatures? Or would you have turned back immediately? What do you think these creatures are? Alien? Unknown animals? Something else? Share your theory in the comments. Remember, you can pause and practice any section as many times as you need. Now let's continue. What will Sarah discover when she lands? Chapter 3. The Truth Begins. The descent took 40 minutes. 40 long, quiet minutes. Just me and my thoughts. And my thoughts were racing. What were those things? How long had they been there? Did other pilots know? Did the government know? Why was it a secret? By the time I landed, my mind was full of questions. I taxied Charlie back to the hangar. Tom was waiting there. So were Dr. Martinez and her colleague. They all looked tense. Nervous. I shut down the engine. I climbed out of the cockpit. My legs were shaky. From the long flight or from the adrenaline, I wasn't sure. Probably both. Welcome back, Doctor. Martinez said. Her smile looked forced. How was the flight? I stared at her. You know exactly how it was, I said. You knew what was up there? She glanced at Tom. Tom stepped forward. Sarah, let's talk inside, he said gently. In my office, away from... Open ears. He gestured toward the other mechanics and pilots working in the hangar. I followed Tom to his small office. Dr. Martinez and her colleague came too. Tom closed the door. We all sat down. Nobody spoke for a moment. Finally, I broke the silence. Somebody better start explaining, I said. What the hell did I just see up there, Doctor? Martinez took a deep breath. What you saw, she began carefully, are called Aerozoans. Aero what? I asked. Aerozoans, she repeated. From aero, meaning air, and mezone, meaning animal, air animals. That's not a real scientific term, I said. It's what we call them, her colleague said. He was a thin man with glasses. I'm Dr. Raymond Park, by the way. We've been studying these creatures for 7 years. 7 years. 7 years, I repeated. And nobody knows about them. Very few people know, Doctor. Martinez admitted. Why? I demanded. Why keep them secret? Because we don't fully understand them yet, Doctor. Park explained. And because, well, people panic. Imagine if the public knew there were giant unknown creatures living in the sky. Flying would never be the same. He had a point. But still. So you're just keeping this quiet? I asked. Until when? Until we understand them better, Dr. Martinez said. And until we know if they're dangerous. Are they dangerous? I asked immediately. And we don't think so, Park said. We've never seen them behave aggressively. They just float. They drift with the air currents. They seem to feed on something in the upper atmosphere. We're not sure what. I leaned back in my chair. This was insane. Completely insane. How many are there? I asked. Dr. Martinez and Dr. Park exchanged a look. We don't know exactly, Dr. Martinez admitted. We've documented over 100 individuals, but there could be thousands. They're very hard to see. Only at certain altitudes, certain times of day, certain atmospheric conditions. That's why commercial pilots rarely see them. Commercial jets fly between 30 and 40,000 feet, I said. Yes, Dr. Park nodded. But the Aerozoans mostly stay between 28 and 32,000 feet, and they're nearly invisible. Only small aircraft flying at specific altitudes in specific conditions can see them clearly. That's why we needed you. Why me specifically? I asked. Tom finally spoke up. Because you're a skilled pilot, he said. And because of your father. My blood went cold. And what about my father? I asked quietly. Tom looked uncomfortable. Sarah, your father saw them too, he said softly. The room started spinning. What? Your father was flying a cargo route 15 years ago, Doctor. Martinez explained gently. He reported seeing strange creatures in the sky. But nobody believed him. They thought he was hallucinating, or making it up. My father had seen them. Is that why his plane went down? I asked. My voice was barely a whisper. We don't know, Tom said honestly. The plane disappeared over the ocean. We never recovered it. But, Doctor... Martinez hesitated. But what? I pressed. But his last radio transmission mentioned the creatures, she said quietly. He said he was going to fly closer to get a better look. That was the last anyone heard from him. I felt tears stinging my eyes. My father, he saw them. He tried to investigate. And then he disappeared. And that's why we approached Tom, Doctor. Park said. We've been monitoring reports of Aerozoan sightings. When we learned Tom employed the daughter of Captain David Chen, we thought you deserved to know the truth. And we hoped you might help us understand what happened to him. I wiped my eyes roughly. Do you think the creatures killed him? I asked bluntly. Honestly, Dr. Martinez said, we don't think so. In 7 years of study, we've never seen them harm anything. But your father's plane disappeared in an area where multiple Aerozoans were present. We think maybe he got too close. Maybe he collided with one accidentally. Or maybe something else happened. We just don't know. I sat in silence for a long moment, processing everything. My father had seen them, just like I had. He had been curious, just like I was, and that curiosity might have killed him. What do you want from me? I finally asked. We want your help, Doctor, Park said. And we need more data, more observations, more photographs. You're a skilled pilot. You've now seen them with your own eyes. And, Doctor... Martinez added carefully, we think you might want answers about your father. She was right. I did want answers. I needed answers. If I help you, I said slowly, you have to promise me something. What, Doctor? Martinez asked. If we find out what happened to my father, If we discover the truth, you have to tell me, no matter what it is. Even if it's bad." They both nodded. "We promise, Doctor," Park said. I took a deep breath. "Then I'm in," I said. "I'll help you study these things, and I'll find out what happened to my dad." Tom smiled sadly. "Your father would be proud," he said. Maybe he'd tell me to stay away. To stay safe. But I couldn't. Not now. Not when I was so close to the truth. Dr. Martinez stood up. "We'll need you to fly again tomorrow," she said. "Is that okay? Tomorrow?" "So soon." But I nodded. "What time?" "Dawn, Dr. Park said. "And the creatures are most visible at sunrise. Something about the angle of the light." "Okay," I agreed. Dawn tomorrow, they left the office. I stayed sitting there with Tom. "Are you sure about this, Sarah?" Tom asked gently. "I'm sure," I said. But I wasn't sure at all. I was scared. Terrified, actually. But I was also determined. My father had started this journey. Now I was going to finish it. What do you think happened to Sarah's father? Did the creatures hurt him? Or was it something else? And would you fly back up there after seeing those things? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget, shadowing practice helps your speaking improve faster. Try repeating the dialogue sections. Let's continue to see Sarah's second flight. Chapter 4, Dawn Flight. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking about the creatures. The Aerozoans. I kept thinking about my father. What had he seen? What had he felt? Was he scared when he saw them? Or was he excited? Knowing my dad, probably excited. He loved discovery. He loved adventure. Maybe that's where I got it from. At 4:30 in the morning, my alarm went off. I was already awake. I got dressed in warm clothes. It would be cold up there at dawn. I ate a quick breakfast. Toast and coffee. My stomach was too nervous for anything more. I arrived at the airport at 5:15. The sky was still dark. Stars were visible overhead. Charlie was already prepared. The scientists had installed even more equipment overnight. More cameras. More sensors. Something that looked like a sonar device. Dr. Martinez was there, drinking coffee from a thermos. "Morning," she said. "Ready?" "Ready as I'll be," I replied. Dr. Park came out of the hangar carrying a tablet. "We've programmed a new flight path," he said. He showed me the screen. It showed a map with multiple waypoints. And this path will take you through an area where we've observed high Aerozoan activity, he explained. You'll fly a grid pattern. We need systematic coverage. I studied the map. The path would take me over a remote area of the mountains, far from any commercial flight paths. How long will this take? I asked. About 3 hours on Dr. Martinez said. Maybe 4 if we need additional passes. 3 to 4 hours. Flying around giant sky creatures. Just a normal Wednesday. Let's do it, I said. I climbed into Charlie. Did my pre-flight check. Everything looked good. The engine started smoothly. I taxied to the runway. The eastern sky was just starting to lighten. The first hints of dawn. Charlie Papa ready for takeoff, I radioed. Charlie Papa cleared for takeoff, the tower responded. Good hunting, good hunting. What a strange thing to say. I pushed the throttle forward. Charlie accelerated down the runway, lifted off smoothly. I climbed into the pre-dawn sky. The stars were fading now. The sky was turning from black to deep blue. I headed north, following the programmed flight path. As I climbed higher, the sun started to rise behind me. Golden light spreading across the sky. It was beautiful. At 20,000 feet, I leveled off temporarily. I took a moment to just look around. The world below was still in shadow. But up here, the sun was already shining. The mountains looked like islands in a sea of darkness. I continued climbing. 25,000 feet. I put on my oxygen mask. 28,000 feet. Getting close now. 29,000 feet. I reached the first waypoint on the grid. I began my pattern, flying slowly and carefully, my eyes scanning the sky, looking for any shimmer, any movement, any sign of them. For the first 30 minutes, I saw nothing. Just empty sky. Maybe they weren't here today. Maybe they had moved on. Then, right at sunrise, everything changed. The sun broke over the eastern horizon. Golden light flooded the sky. And suddenly I could see them. Dozens of them. All around me. The Aerozoans. They were everywhere. Some close, some far away. Some higher, some lower. All floating peacefully in the morning light. The sun illuminated their translucent bodies. They glowed. Absolutely glowed. Like living lanterns. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. gasped. "Oh my God," I whispered. "Sarah, Dr. Martinez's voice came through my headset. "What do you see?" "Everything," I breathed. "I see everything. There are dozens of them, maybe hundreds." I flew slowly through the grid pattern. The cameras were recording everything. The Aerozoans paid no attention to me. They just drifted. Some of them had their tentacles extended fully. Others had them curled up. One creature passed directly above me, maybe only 200 feet away. I could see every detail of its body. The way its bell-shaped top pulsed slowly. The way the lights inside flickered in patterns. The way its tentacles moved independently of each other. It was clearly alive. Clearly complex. This wasn't just some simple organism. This was something sophisticated. Maybe even intelligent. I completed the first pass of the grid. "Data looks excellent, Doctor." Park's voice said. "Can you make another pass?" "Roger that," I confirmed. I turned Charlie around. Started the second pass. On this pass, I noticed something interesting. The Aerozoans were moving. Not randomly. They were moving in a pattern. Slowly, very slowly, they were all drifting in the same direction. North. "They're migrating," I said over the radio. "What, Dr. Martinez asked. "The creatures," I explained. "But they're all moving north, slowly, but definitely moving together." Silence for a moment. "And that's new, Dr. Park said. "We've never observed coordinated movement before." "Well, you're seeing it now," I confirmed. This was important. This meant they weren't just mindless floating blobs. They had some kind of collective behavior, some kind of purpose. I followed them, deviating slightly from my grid pattern. I had to see where they were going. After about 30 minutes of following, something amazing happened. The Aerozoans began to cluster together. They were grouping up, coming closer to each other. Their tentacles intertwined. They were connecting. "Are you seeing this?" I asked. "And we're seeing it," Dr. Martinez confirmed. Her voice was filled with excitement. "Keep recording." The connected Aerozoans formed a massive formation. Maybe 50 or 60 of them. All linked together. Their internal lights were flashing now. In synchronized patterns, like they were communicating. "They're talking to each other," I said in awe. Or something like it. Suddenly, the lights changed color. From white to blue, then to green, then to purple. The colors rippled through the connected group. It was like watching a light show, but natural, organic. Then just as suddenly they separated. The formation broke apart. The Aerozoans drifted away from each other. The lights went back to normal, and they continued their slow migration north. "What just happened?" I asked. "We have no idea, Doctor," Park admitted. "But it was incredible. I continued following them for another hour. My fuel was getting lower now. I'd need to head back soon. But I didn't want to leave. I wanted to see where they were going, what they were doing." "Sarah, check your fuel, Doctor." Martinez reminded me. I looked at the gauge. She was right. "Time to go." "Roger," I said reluctantly. Heading back, I turned Charlie around. Started descending. As I dropped below 25,000 feet, the Aerozoans disappeared from view again. Invisible once more. But I knew they were there. Still floating. Still migrating. Still mysterious. When I landed, the scientists were ecstatic. "And this is breakthrough footage, Doctor," Park said, reviewing the camera data. "This changes everything we thought we knew about them. They're not just animals, Dr. Martinez said. And they're intelligent, or at least they have complex social behaviors." I felt proud. I'd helped discover something important. But I also felt something else. A connection. To these creatures. To the sky. To my father. He had seen them too. Had he seen them cluster together? Had he seen them communicate? Is that why he flew closer? I needed to know more. Much more. And I would... What do you think the Aerozoans were communicating about? Do you think they're intelligent like humans? Or just acting on instinct? Share your thoughts below. Pro tip: watch this chapter again and try to shadow Sarah's excited descriptions. It's great practice for expressing wonder in English. Ready for the next chapter? Things are about to get even more interesting. Chapter 5: The Message. Over the next 2 weeks, I flew 6 more missions. Each time I saw more, learned more. The Aerozoans were becoming less mysterious, but also more fascinating. We discovered they had daily patterns. They rose higher during the day, dropped lower at night. They seemed to avoid storm systems. They moved away from areas with heavy aircraft traffic. We discovered they fed on something. tiny particles in the upper atmosphere. Microscopic organisms we didn't even know existed. An entire invisible ecosystem. Living in the sky. Dr. Martinez and Dr. Park were publishing papers, preparing presentations. They were getting ready to tell the world. But they wanted more data first. More proof. More understanding. And I was happy to help. Each flight felt like a privilege. A gift. I was seeing something almost no one else had ever seen. But I still had questions about my father. On my 7th flight, something happened that changed everything. It was a cloudy afternoon. Not ideal conditions for seeing the Aerozoans. But Dr. Park wanted data on how they behaved in clouds. So up I went, into the thick gray clouds at 28,000 feet. Inside the clouds, visibility was almost zero. Just white mist everywhere. I flew carefully, relying on my instruments. Suddenly, my radio crackled with static. Heavy static.
Charlie Papa, do you read? Dr.
Martinez's voice was breaking up. I read you, I said.
But there's interference, where...
Static. Equipment malfunction. Static. The radio went dead. Complete silence. I tried to call back. Nothing. Just static. Okay. Don't panic. Radio failures happen. I'd complete the mission and head back. I continued my path through the clouds. Then my instruments started acting strange. The compass was spinning. The altimeter was fluctuating. The GPS was showing my position jumping around. This was not good. I took manual control, relied on my training. Stay calm. Trust the artificial horizon. Keep the wings level. I'll find my way out of these clouds. Then I saw a light ahead. A blue-green glow. Coming through the mist. An Aerozoan. But this one was different. It was moving toward me. Deliberately. Purposefully. My heart started racing. All the other Aerozoans had ignored me. But this one was approaching. Coming closer. I pulled back on the yoke. Tried to climb above it. But it followed, matching my altitude. It was now only 100 feet away. I could see it clearly through the mist. It was huge. Bigger than the others. Maybe twice the size. Its tentacles were spread wide. The lights inside its body were pulsing rapidly. All focused toward me. Like headlights. Was it scanning me? Studying me. I didn't know what to do. My training had never covered what to do when approached by a giant sky jellyfish. I held steady, kept Charlie level. Maybe if I didn't make any sudden moves, it would leave. The creature came closer, 50 feet away now. Its tentacles reached out, getting closer to my plane. I held my breath. Then something incredible happened. The lights inside the creature changed. They began pulsing in a specific pattern. Long pulse, short pulse, short pulse, long pulse. Pause. Long pulse, short pulse, short pulse, long pulse. It repeated. Over and over. A pattern. A code. It's trying to communicate, I whispered to myself. I watched the pattern carefully. Long, short, short, long. Pause. Long, short, short, long. Wait. I knew this. My father had taught me Morse code when I was young. He said every pilot should know it. Just in case. Long, short, short, long. That was the letter Q. 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 What did that mean? Then I remembered. In maritime communication, Q meant request or question. The creature was asking me something. But what? I stared at it, frustrated. I couldn't communicate back. I had no way to pulse lights. Unless my landing lights. I could turn them on and off. Make patterns. It was crazy. But everything about this situation was crazy. I reached for the landing light switch. I flashed it. Short, 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 long, 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 short, short, short. S-O. S! The universal distress signal. But also just a way to say, I'm here. I understand. I hear you. The creature stopped pulsing. It went still. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then its lights changed color. From blue-green to warm gold. And it pulsed a new pattern. Short, long, short, short. F. Long, short, short, short. P. Short, short, long. Boop. Short, short. I. F. P. U. E. What did that mean? I tried to think. Then it hit me. Not letters. Numbers. In Morse code, numbers are different. But wait, that didn't make sense either. The creature pulsed again. This time slower. More deliberately. Short, long, short, short, long, long, short, 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 long. I grabbed a pen from my flight bag. Started writing down the pattern. Dots and dashes. When the creature finished, I looked at what I'd written. It was a coordinate. a location. Latitude and longitude. The creature was giving me a location. But where? And why? The creature pulsed one more time. 3 short pulses. Then 3 long pulses. Then 3 short pulses. S-O. S! It was sending a distress signal. Oh my God. Something was wrong. Something or someone needed help at those coordinates. I understand, I said out loud, even though it couldn't hear me. I flashed my lights again. Long, 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 short. The Morse code for understood. The creature's lights pulsed bright once. Then it moved away. Slowly drifted back into the clouds. And disappeared. I sat there, stunned. My hands were shaking. What had just happened? I looked at the coordinates I'd written down. I needed to get out of these clouds. Needed to land. Needed to tell the scientists. My instruments were working again now. Radio still dead, but everything else functional. I turned Charlie toward home. Started descending. Broke through the cloud layer at 15,000 feet. Clear air below. I could see the airport in the distance. As I approached for landing, my radio suddenly came back to life. Papa! Charlie, Papa, do you read? Doctor. Martinez's frantic voice. I read you, I responded. Oh, thank God, she said. And we lost you for 20 minutes. What happened? I'll explain when I land, I said. But I need you to look up some coordinates. Coordinates, Dr. Park's voice joined. What coordinates? I read them the numbers the Aerozoan had given me. There was silence. Then, Sarah, those coordinates are in the Pacific Ocean, about 500 miles west of California. Pacific Ocean, where my father's plane had disappeared. My blood ran cold. How close is that to where my father went down? I asked. More silence. Very close, Dr. Martinez said quietly. Those coordinates are within 10 miles of his last known position. I couldn't breathe. The Aerozoan had given me the location where my father disappeared. But why? What was there? And we need to go there, I said. We need to check those coordinates. Sarah, that's in the middle of the ocean, Doctor. Park said. We can't just fly out there. We need a ship. We need equipment. We need permission. Then get them, I said firmly. Something's out there. Something important. The creature was sending an S. Oh, S. My father might be connected to this. We have to go. I landed Charlie, taxied to the hangar. Dr. Martinez and Dr. Park were waiting. Their faces were pale. "Tell us exactly what happened up there, Doctor," Martinez said. I told them everything. The approach, the communication, the coordinates, the SOS. They listened in silence. When I finished, Dr. Park took off his glasses, cleaned them slowly. A habit when he was thinking hard. "And if what you're saying is true," he said carefully, "then these creatures are far more intelligent than we thought. They can understand human communication systems. They can use Morse code, and they're actively trying to communicate with us. That's not just intelligence, Doctor." Martinez said, "And that's extraordinary. We need to organize an expedition," I said. "To those coordinates." "I agree, Dr." Martinez nodded. "I'll contact the Coast Guard and the Navy. We'll need their help." "How long will that take?" I asked. "A few days, Doctor," Park said. "And maybe a week." Bureaucracy moves slowly. I didn't want to wait, but I had no choice. Whatever was at those coordinates had been there for 15 years. A few more days wouldn't matter. But every day felt like an eternity. Can you believe it? The creatures can communicate. Do you think they know what happened to Sarah's father? Why would they send her to those coordinates? What do you think she'll find in the ocean? Drop your predictions in the comments. And hey, did you notice the Morse code patterns? Try practicing them. Long dash, short dot. It's a fun way to learn something new while practicing English. Let's continue to Chapter 6. The expedition is about to begin. Chapter 6. The Ocean Expedition. 9 days later, I was on a Coast Guard ship. The USCGC Eagle, a large cutter designed for ocean research. We were heading to the coordinates, 500 miles off the California coast. The ship carried a crew of 30, plus Dr. Martinez, Doctor, Parky and me, and a team of marine biologists, and Navy deep-sea diving equipment, and underwater drones. Everyone wanted to know what was out there. The voyage took 2 days. 2 long days of waiting, of wondering, of hoping. I spent most of the time on deck, looking up at the sky, looking for Aerozoans. I saw a few, high above, nearly invisible, but I knew they were there, watching. Maybe on the second evening, we reached the coordinates. The sun was setting. The ocean was calm. Deep blue water stretching to the horizon. "This is it," the captain announced. Mark the position. We dropped anchor. Well, we didn't actually anchor. The ocean here was over 2 miles deep. But we held position using the ship's thrusters. We'll begin underwater scanning at first light, Doctor. Martinez said, "Get some rest, everyone," but I couldn't rest. I stood on deck long into the night, staring at the dark water. What was down there? My father's plane? Something else. At dawn, the work began. The crew deployed an underwater drone, a sophisticated machine with cameras and sonar. It dove deep, 100 feet, 500 feet, 1,000 feet. We watched the video feed on screens in the ship's command center. The water was dark, even with the drone's powerful lights. Just particles floating in the beam. Occasional fish. Nothing else. 2,000 feet. 3,000 feet. Still nothing. The ocean is very empty, one of the marine biologists commented. Most people don't realize that. 4,000 feet. 5,000 feet. The drone was approaching the ocean floor now. The sonar showed the bottom coming up. 5,200 feet. The drone leveled off. Started scanning horizontally. There, Doctor, Park said suddenly, pointing at the sonar screen. And what is that? There was something on the sonar. A large object, roughly rectangular, about 50 feet long. Move toward it, Doctor. Martinez ordered. The drone operator adjusted course. We all leaned closer to the video screen. The lights illuminated mud and rocks on the ocean floor. Then metal. Corroded, covered in barnacles, but definitely metal. "It's a plane," I whispered. The drone moved closer. Yes, it was definitely an aircraft. Lying on its belly. Surprisingly intact for being underwater for 15 years. The tail section was broken off, but the main fuselage was there. "Can we see the registration number?" the captain asked. The drone moved along the side of the plane. Through the barnacles and corrosion, we could just make out numbers. An 874. My heart stopped. "That's it," I said. "That's my father's plane." Everyone turned to look at me. "Are you sure, Doctor?" Martinez asked gently. "I'm sure," I said. My voice was shaking. November 874 Lima Delta. I memorized it when I was a kid. We had found it. After 15 years, we had found my father's plane. I felt tears running down my face. But I couldn't look away from the screen. Sarah, Dr. Park said softly. We need to send the drone inside to look for remains, I nodded.
I knew.
I needed to know. The drone moved to the cargo door. The door was partially open. The drone's manipulator arm pulled it wider. The drone entered the dark fuselage. Inside was murky. Sediment swirled in the light. We saw cargo containers, strapped down and corroded. The drone moved forward, toward the cockpit. I held my breath. The cockpit came into view. The seats were still there. The controls were corroded. But the pilot's seat was empty. Empty. There's no body, the marine biologist said, surprised. After 15 years underwater, there should be remains, even if just bones. But there was nothing. Check the rest of the plane, the captain ordered. The drone searched every section. Cargo area, empty of human remains. Bathroom, empty. Every space, empty. My father wasn't in the plane. Where is he? I asked. Did he escape? Unlikely, the captain said carefully. If he escaped the plane before it sank, we would have found him. The Coast Guard searched this area for weeks. Then where is he? I demanded. Nobody had an answer. The drone continued searching. And then it found something strange. In the cargo area, a large hole cut through the floor of the plane. Not torn. Cut. Deliberately. The edges were too clean to be damaged from the crash. What is that? I asked. Someone cut through the hull, the drone operator said. From inside? With what, Dr. Park asked. And why? The drone moved through the hole, examined the ocean floor beneath the plane. And there, in the mud, was something that didn't belong. An object, made of a material that reflected the drone's lights. Not metal, not rock. Something else. The drone's manipulator arm carefully lifted it, brought it closer to the camera. It was roughly spherical, about the size of a basketball. Smooth surface, translucent, with patterns of light inside. Patterns that looked familiar. Very familiar. Oh my God, Dr. Martinez breathed. It's from an Aerozoan, I said. That's part of an Aerozoan, the object pulsed weakly. Even after 15 years underwater, it was still alive. Somehow. Bring it up, Dr. Martinez ordered. Carefully, the drone placed the object in its collection basket, then began the long ascent. 5,000 feet, 4,000 feet. 3,000 feet. It took 2 hours. But finally, the drone surfaced. The crew carefully retrieved it. The Aerozoan object was placed in a special container. Temperature controlled. Pressurized. We all gathered around it. It was beautiful up close. The surface seemed to shift and shimmer. The lights inside pulsed slowly. Like a heartbeat. "This is incredible, Doctor," Park said. "How is it still alive? How did it get inside the plane?" "I think I know what happened, Doctor," Martinez said slowly. She looked at me. Her eyes were sad. "Your father saw an Aerozoan," she said. "It may be a sick one, maybe an injured one. He landed his plane on the ocean surface. He somehow rescued it, brought it aboard. But then something went wrong. The plane sank. And your father..." She trailed off. I understood. My father had tried to save a creature. An Aerozoan. And somehow, that had led to his plane sinking. But where was he? As if in answer to my question, the Aerozoan object pulsed brightly. The lights formed a pattern. The same pattern I'd seen before. Morse code. Everyone was silent. Watching, the object spelled out a message. Letter by letter. A, B, O, V, above. Above? I repeated. "What does that mean?" The object pulsed again. L, O, K, U, Pet. Look up. I walked out onto the deck. I looked up at the sky. The sun was bright. The sky was clear blue. I saw nothing. Then I saw them. Aerozoans. Dozens of them. Maybe 100. All around the ship. At various altitudes. They had been there the whole time. Waiting. Watching. They weren't just curious. They were here for a reason. And suddenly, I understood. They had led me here. They had given me the coordinates. They wanted me to find the plane. To find this object. To understand. But understand what? I looked back at the Aerozoan object. It pulsed once more. A single word. T. H. M. K. E. O. U. Thank you. They're thanking us, I said. For what? Dr. Martinez asked. For my father, I realized. He saved one of them 15 years ago. They remember. They've been waiting all this time for someone to find him, for someone to understand. The Aerozoans above began to move, slowly descending, coming closer to the ship, but not threatening. Peaceful. The object in the container pulsed brightly, responding to them, calling to them. "They want it back, Doctor," Park said. "They want their friend?"
Family member, I nodded.
"We have to give it to them, Doctor." Martinez hesitated. "This is an unprecedented scientific specimen," she said. "We could learn so much." "No," I said firmly. "We have to give it back. My father tried to save it. We're going to finish what he started." She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. "You're right," she said. "Let's get the container ready to open." The crew carefully carried the container to the deck. I stood beside it, looking up at the Aerozoans. "Okay," I said to them. "And we're giving your friend back. But please, tell me what happened to my father. Where is he?" The Aerozoans descended lower. One of them, the largest, came within 50 feet of the ship. Its tentacles reached out, not threateningly, gently. We opened the container. The object rose out, floating up on its own, slowly ascending toward the waiting Aerozoans. As it rose, it pulsed one final message to me. "So, F, H, pet, E, V, I, T, H, U, so safe, happy, with us." My father was with them. The Aerozoans had saved him. When his plane sank, they had rescued him. Somehow, they had taken him up, into the sky, into their world. He was alive. Or at least he had been. Maybe he still was. Somewhere up there, living among the sky creatures. The object reached the large Aerozoan. They merged, became one. The Aerozoan pulsed brightly. Then all of them began to rise, slowly ascending, going back to their altitude. But before they disappeared, they formed one final message. All of them together, their lights synchronized, creating letters in the sky. H, so, so, E, O, U. He sees you. My father, he was out there, somewhere, watching, and he wanted me to know he was okay. I started crying, really crying. Tears of relief, of joy, of loss, of love. My father was alive. Different, maybe. Changed, certainly. But alive. And happy. The Aerozoans rose higher. Higher. Until they disappeared into the blue. I stood on the deck for a long time, just looking up. "Are you okay, Doctor?" Martinez asked gently. I nodded. "Yeah," I said. "I'm okay. He's okay. That's all that matters." We stayed at the coordinates for one more day, documenting everything, recording everything. Then we sailed back to land. Wow! Did you expect that twist? Sarah's father is alive, living with the Aerozoans. How do you think that's even possible? Could you imagine living in the sky with those creatures? Would you want to? Share your reactions in the comments. This is great practice for expressing emotions in English. Try saying out loud, "I can't believe it," or "That's amazing," or "I didn't see that coming." One more chapter to go. Chapter 7, The Final Flight. 3 months passed. Dr. Martinez and Dr. Park published their findings. The Aerozoans became public knowledge. The world went crazy. For a few weeks, it was all anyone talked about. Sky creatures. Living jellyfish in the upper atmosphere. Intelligent. Communicative. Some people were scared. Most were fascinated. Flights were temporarily restricted in certain areas. But soon life returned to normal. The Aerozoans were just part of our world now. Strange but accepted. Like deep sea creatures. We know they exist. We find them interesting. But they don't affect our daily lives. As for me, I kept flying. But now I had a new purpose. Every flight I looked for signs. Signs from my father. Messages in the lights. Patterns in the Aerozoan formations. Sometimes I thought I saw something. A specific creature that followed me. Watched me. But I could never be sure. Then, on a cold December morning, something happened. I was doing a routine scenic flight. A couple celebrating their anniversary. We were flying over the mountains. At 12,000 feet. Within normal range. Suddenly, my radio crackled. But not with a voice. With a pattern. Long, short, short, long. Pause. Long, short, short, long. Cue. Question. Did you hear that? I asked my passengers. They looked confused. Hear what? The husband asked. So only I could hear it. The message continued. C. O. M. U.
heck?
Come up. My heart started pounding. Folks, I need to change our flight plan, I said. And we're going higher. Is everything okay? The wife asked nervously. Everything's fine, I assured them. I need to check something. I started climbing. 15,000 feet. The passengers put on oxygen masks. I had installed permanent systems after my earlier flights. 20,000 feet. This is really high, the husband said. I know, I said. Trust me, 25,000 feet. There, I said, pointing. Ahead of us, barely visible, was an Aerozoan. Oh my God, the wife gasped. And is that one of those sky creatures? Yes, I said softly. 28,000 feet. I leveled off. The Aerozoan came closer. It was large. Very large. One of the biggest I'd ever seen. It positioned itself directly in front of my plane. About 100 feet away. Its lights began to pulse. So, H. My name. It knew my name. How does it know your name? The husband asked. Long story, I said. The Aerozoan pulsed again. E. O. U. R. F. A. T. H. R. V. A. M. T. So. T. O. So. E. O. U. My breath caught. My father wanted to see me. Where? I asked out loud. The creature pulsed coordinates. A location. Not too far from here. Higher altitude. Much higher. 35,000 feet. Can you get us there? I asked my passengers. This is your decision. This might be dangerous. They looked at each other. Then the wife smiled. We came here for an adventure, she said. This is definitely an adventure. Let's do it, the husband agreed. I loved these people. Hold on, I said. I pushed the throttle forward. We climbed 30,000 feet. 32,000 feet. 35,000 feet. Charlie was modified for high altitude now. After months of flights, we had upgraded everything. Better engine. Better oxygen systems. Better pressurization. At 35,000 feet, I leveled off. Following the coordinates. And then I saw them. Hundreds of Aerozoans. All gathered together. The largest grouping I'd ever seen. They formed a circle. A massive circle, maybe a mile in diameter. And in the center of the circle was one Aerozoan, different from the others. Smaller, but with an unusual structure inside. A structure that looked almost human. "Oh my God," I whispered. I flew closer. Carefully. The Aerozoans opened their circle, letting me through. I approached the center creature. As I got closer, I could see more clearly. Inside the translucent body was a human form, suspended in some kind of fluid or energy. I couldn't tell. But the form moved, looked at me, raised a hand, and waved. "Dad," I whispered. The creature's lights pulsed. H I B B E G I R L. Hi, baby girl. That's what he always called me. Baby girl. I started crying. "Dad, I found you. D I D I M. Pet. D. I don't understand," I said. "And what happened to you? How are you?" The creature began pulsing a longer message. I grabbed my notebook, started writing it down. It took 10 minutes. But when I finished, I had the whole story. 15 years ago, my father saw an injured Aerozoan. It was dying, falling from the sky. He landed his plane on the ocean, opened the cargo door, somehow got the creature aboard. But the plane was too damaged. It started sinking. He should have drowned. But the Aerozoan did something. It merged with him, combined with him, to save both of them. They became one being, half human, half Aerozoan. He could breathe in the thin air. He could survive at high altitude. But he couldn't return to ground level. The pressure would kill him now. He had to stay up here forever. "Don't you want to come home?" I asked. H O M I so pet H R home is up here. I M H pet E I M F R But don't you miss us? I asked. Miss me? Miss Mom? So, A E
B
U T I so E O U V
H
M E O U F
L
E I M A
L
V A E so V A T C
H
I M G. He had been watching me. All along, every flight. Mom thinks you're dead, I said. I K M O V I M so O R E T
L H
R I
L
O V
H
R
T L H
R I M O K A E. I will, I promised. We stayed there for an hour. Just talking through pulses of light. He told me about his life with the Aerozoans, how they traveled around the world, how they saw everything from above, how they were peaceful, gentle, ancient. They had been here for millions of years. Before humans, before recorded history. Living in the sky. Unseen. Until now. He told me he was sorry for leaving. But he didn't regret saving the Aerozoan. It was the right thing to do. Even if it meant never returning home. I understand, Dad, I said. I would have done the same thing.
H
T so M E G I R
L.
Finally, it was time to go. My passengers had been patient. But we were running low on oxygen. I have to go, I said. I K M O V F
L
E so F I
L
O V E O U. I love you too, Dad. I turned Charlie around. Started descending. But as I left, all the Aerozoans began to pulse. In perfect synchronization. Creating a message across the entire sky. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for accepting. Thank you for protecting our secret. We will protect him, as he protected us. I waved goodbye, descended through the cold air. My passengers were silent. Finally, the wife spoke. "That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," she said. "Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for coming with me," I said. When we landed, they paid triple the normal rate and left a note. Some things are worth more than money. Today we witnessed a miracle. Thank you. I went home that night, to my mother's house. She was in the kitchen, making dinner. "Hi, honey," she said. "How was your day?" "Mom," I said, "I need to tell you something about Dad." She went very still. "What about him?" she asked quietly. I told her everything. The whole story. When I finished, she was crying, but smiling. "He's alive," she whispered. "He's alive and he's happy." "Yes," I confirmed. She hugged me tight. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for finding him. Thank you for bringing me this gift." That night, we went outside, looked up at the stars, and somewhere up there, beyond our sight, my father looked down, watching over us, as he always would. 1 year later, life is different now. Mom has found peace. She knows Dad is alive. She knows he's happy. Sometimes we go outside at night, flash a flashlight at the sky. In Morse code, "We love you." And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, we see a pulse of light back. I still fly every day. I still see Aerozoans regularly. They're part of my life now. Part of who I am. Dr. Martinez and Dr. Park continue their research. They've discovered so much. The Aerozoans have a complex society. They communicate across vast distances. They migrate with the seasons. They care for their young. They remember. Oh, how they remember! Tom retired last year. He gave me the Aviation company. "Your father would want you to have it," he said. I renamed it Chen Aviation, in honor of my dad. We specialize in high-altitude flights now. Aerozoan observation tours. People from all over the world come to see them, to witness the miracle of life in the sky. In every flight, I tell them a story. The story of a pilot who saved a creature. The story of a daughter who found her father. The story of connection. Between species. Between worlds. Between earth and sky. Because in the end, that's what this is all about. Connection, understanding, love. My father taught me that. The Aerozoans taught me that. Life taught me that. We're all connected. Everything and everyone. The creatures in the sky. The people on the ground. The past and the present. The lost and the found. We're all part of one big story. And my story, our story isn't over yet. Every day is a new chapter. Every flight is a new adventure. And somewhere up there in the thin blue air, my father flies too. Free, happy, home. As I taxi Charlie onto the runway this morning, I look up. The sky is clear and blue. Perfect flying weather. I key my radio. On November 427, Charlie Papa requesting permission for takeoff. Charlie Papa, you are cleared for takeoff. Have a beautiful flight. Thank you, I say. I always do. I push the throttle forward. Charlie rolls down the runway. Faster, faster. And then we lift off. Into the sky. Into the blue. Into the place where impossible things live. Into the place where miracles happen. Into the place where my father waits. Not to bring me home, but to watch me fly, because that's what fathers do. They watch their children soar, even from 30,000 feet away, even when they've become something else. Something new. Something wonderful. I climb higher. The ground falls away. And I smile. Because I'm not just flying anymore. I'm connecting earth to sky, daughter to father, human to Aerozoan, past to present, mystery to understanding. And that connection, that beautiful, impossible connection, is everything. The pilot's secret. It was never about the creatures. It was never about the mystery. It was about love. Love that transcends distance. Love that transcends form. Love that transcends everything. And that kind of love never dies. It just changes, evolves, grows, like everything else in this strange and wonderful universe. I level off at 30,000 feet. And ahead of me, barely visible in the morning sun, I see them. The Aerozoans. Dozens of them. Floating peacefully. And one of them, the one with the human form inside, pulses a message. G. O. O. D. M. O. R. M. I. M. G. B. A. B. E. G.
L?
Good morning, baby girl. I flash my landing lights back. G. O. D. M. O. N. N. G. D. D. And I fly on into the endless blue, into the mystery, into the light. Home. The end.